Alrighty, what is going on, guys? My name is William, but y'all can call me Billy, and thank you for showing up to another video on the channel. Today is going to be a little bit different. Now that I made a couple of videos, I kind of wanted to do a Q&A. Anyways, I have them pulled up on my computer over here, so we're going to go through them step by step, or question by question, I guess, and yeah, so, alright. First question is, what or who is your main motivator? What drives you to get out of bed in the morning? I would say my main motivation is to wake up every day and be a better version of myself. I never like feeling stagnant, so I never want to wake up and feel like I'm doing the same stuff I was doing the day before. Whether that's, something simple as just staying consistent and working towards that end goal. But overall, just waking up every day, being the best version of myself that I can be, and seeing that wear off on other people, and trying to be there for other people means a lot to me, and it always kind of has. What drives you to get out of bed in the morning? So that's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like the same answer as the first half of that question. It's just waking up every day and being that best version of yourself. Just want to make sure every day is a better day. So cool. Second question was, when is your meet and what numbers are you going for on your third attempts? So, I have said in my, I believe I said in my other videos, my meet is December 5th at Power Build Gym. It is their Winter War competition or event, whatever you want to call it. It's in Conshohocken, like 15-20 minutes out of Philadelphia, and it is December 5th. So that's kind of what I've been gearing towards right now. What numbers are you going for on third attempts? So, I guess we'll, I'm trying to think of the best way to answer this. Things could always change, but how I'm feeling right now with kind of shedding all this weight, I'm still feeling pretty strong. If I were to give realistic goals from training, I would say for bench, it's probably going to be right around 330 or 335 would be, I'd be happy with that third attempt. Squat, I would really, really, really like to see anything above 420 pounds on that third attempt would make me ecstatic. As for deadlift, 475 or 480 will probably be what I try and call for my my third attempt. So there's an answer to that. Can you discuss how you set up on bench? So, with going into comp and going into starting to go to events where there's judges and they're judging your lifts, there's a lot of things with form that get super technical, and you don't want to disqualify yourself or hurt yourself by doing something as simple as not having the right form. So I always learned that you want to try and keep the angle between your chest and your arms as close to 45 as possible. Keep your arms as you're coming down. The bar should touch your sternum right here. You always want to make sure that as your arms come down, they stay straight. You never want your arms to come down like this or like this. That way it's coming straight off your chest. As well as in your hands, you want that bar to be a little bit lower down here. That way, as you drive up, you're actually pushing the bar up. Whereas some people put the bar up here, and you can see that when your wrist is bent back like that, you're pushing up, but the weight's over here. So you always want to make sure you come down nice and tight like that, and come up. What I always tell people when I'm trying to help them bench is to act like your shoulder blades are going down a water slide. Usually when you go to a water park and see a water slide, there's a stick figure where they got their arms crossed and the shoulder blades back. So your shoulder blades got to be back. You always want your butt on the bench. As for feet placement, you should have flat feet. I usually like to gauge, they got to be under your knees, and then you want to make sure you got a wide enough stance so that as the bar comes down, you have a nice power plant, and you don't want to be wobbling from side to side. You just want to be focused on getting that lift up. So I understand that was probably a little bit weird to hear me just talk about it and not actually do, but typically that's what's going through my mind when I'm setting up a bench. Next question, what is your intake calorie amount, and how do you find the right mixture of portions and amount of meals a day? So right now, since I've been in like a cut, it's simply put, it's about a calorie deficit. So ultimately, I got to make sure that I'm burning at least the same amount or more than what I'm taking in. And as of right now, depending on how accurate that Apple Watch is, I burn anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 calories every single day. And that's off of the lifting. That's not counting the sauna. That's not counting when I'm sleeping, because I don't wear it when I sleep. And vice versa with other minimal amounts of activity. But for the most part, it's about 1,500 to 2,000 calories of when I'm wearing my watch. So I try to make sure I'm eating right around 1,500 calories to 2,000 calories, I guess would be the best answer. I will be quite honest, I don't track it, but I can feel comfortable saying it's right around that part. As for portions, first thing I did was cut the snacking and you want to make sure that you're getting the right amount of nutrients. If you're someone who might be a little bit overweight with an enlarged stomach because you're used to eating too much food, it can be a little bit hard to stop eating even if you're not necessarily full, but eating until you're satisfied. You want to make sure you're not eating until you're full, because what happens is when you keep eating large quantities of food, your stomach the lining in your stomach starts to stretch. And when it stretches, it expands. So as that cavity in your stomach expands, it means it takes more and more food for you to feel full, which ultimately means you're eating more food. So unless you're being more active to counteract that, it can lead to things such as bigger stomach, bigger gut, weight gain, which in my case is the exact opposite of what I want to do. So hopefully that answered your question. Next question, chances of you commissioning as an officer in the military after you get a degree. I don't think it's appropriate for me to sound like I'm definitely gonna do something, especially something as serious as the military, but I would be lying if I said it wasn't an option. So I'm using the meet that's coming up, not this December, but the one in February. I'm going to be dropping down to the same weight class that the weight requirements for the branch I've been eyeballing are. So I want to see if I'm disciplined enough to get down to that required weight, and then we'll kind of take it from there. But like I said, I don't really think it's appropriate to falsely say if you are or not going to do something related to military. So sorry, that's kind of a disappointing answer, but trying to be appropriate and trying to stay honest. Next question. If you could spend a day with one person, who would it be? I'm gonna assume, judging from the person that sent this question, I'm gonna assume they mean by someone in the fitness industry. I feel like everyone answers Arnold, but quite honestly, I would probably say Eddie Hall. Before I started losing weight again, I got really invested with following the strongman sport, and he's just always someone that I looked up to. So yeah, if I had to answer that question today, it would be definitely spend a day with Eddie Hall. Next question. If you could start your fitness journey from scratch, what would you have done differently? I'm a firm believer that you really shouldn't spend a lot of time dwelling on your past, but to answer this question, it would be to start earlier. I took weight training really, really seriously, like towards the conclusion of 11th grade through the end of high school and college and where I'm at now. I wish I would have been a little bit more serious about it in middle school, and I really feel like that would have gotten me a lot further down the line, definitely quicker and more efficiently. I spent the last half of high school playing kind of catch up, getting back down to a healthy weight before I could bulk, and it definitely pushed my timeline back a little bit. So I would say get serious sooner. Next question is, what is your ultimate goal and what drives you every day to keep going? I would say my ultimate goal is just to, I kind of talked about it earlier, but it's just making sure that I'm being the best version of myself through and through every single day. And I'm not saying I'm working towards being perfect, because it's not possible. But I am, because since it's not possible, there's always room for improvement, and there's always room to be working at myself, and I'm a very goal-oriented person. So by having that mentality, it's almost like I'm chasing that nirvana. So I'll never necessarily reach it, but since I love the chase, it gives me something. It gives me a more motivation than anything to keep going. So I hope that answers your question. Second to last question, tips for skinny people trying to get bigger. It can be hard to get the calories I need. There's lots of complicated answers to that question, but quite simply, you gotta eat more. Some people talk about their metabolism and whatnot, but you gotta make sure that you're eating a lot of food. If you are someone who's naturally really skinny, you might not be gaining any weight with 3 meals, some sleep, and being active, especially if it's more of a cardiovascular based activity, like a runner, a cross-country person, if you're a biker or what have you, or a swimmer. It's probably going to be a little bit harder for you to gain weight because you're so used to burning that crazy amount of calories that you're just naturally skinny. So just make sure you're eating a lot of food, man. I would start incorporating protein shakes at least once a day. Once, I don't know, with your lunch or at dinner, just to make sure you're getting that nutrients flowing through you and getting those goods. But quite honestly, just make sure you're eating a little bit more, whether that's 3 meals with snacks in between the meals, or make it a 4th meal. Just be smart. Make sure it's clean, but you got to eat more. Do you have any advice for beginners at the gym? This is something I feel like people always ask before they start getting into lifting, and it's an important question. So my advice, first thing you got to do is understand that when it comes to fitness, a good 60 to 70% of your results are going to be based off your eating habits, and the remaining are going to be your lifting habits. Your eating habits are obviously tied to your intake of food, the quality of food, how often you're eating your food. So for me, and my advice, cut out the snacking. Try to cut out the BS foods where it's more calories than it is any sort of nutritional value, and just kind of be smart. It's definitely a mental battle. It's hard coming home at the end of the day hungry to a full pantry and a full fridge and not just tearing apart the kitchen, but you just got to be smart. As well as you got to understand that if you are a heavier set person, as well as someone who is trying to improve themselves, cardio plays a big point. You want to make sure at the end of the day that you have a strong heart, because other than the brain, with your heart and pumping blood and pumping oxygen, it's all about making sure that you're running clean, lean, and mean. So make sure you're incorporating cardio 2 or 3 times a week. Make sure you're stretching. Make sure you're not eating crap for food, and that you're eating enough. And then my last tip, without having a lecture, is make sure you're drinking a ton of water. You should be drinking, they say, a gallon a day. That's perfect. It seems excessive, but if you actually take the time to sit there and sip water all day, a gallon is super easy, regardless of whether or not you lift that day. So up your water intake, clean out your diet. Are you bulking? Do you need excess calories? Are you trying to stay where you are? Do you need to just maintain something? Or are you trying to go into a deficit and try and cut? You got to figure out what your needs are before you can fully address it. But it's a pretty good gauge by asking yourself those 4 questions, what you need to do at the gym. All right, so this was really cool. I actually got a lot more questions than I thought, and I hope the answers I said were satisfied. I kept the list of names of the people that did submit questions private, just for their own safety. And sometimes the fitness industry and sometimes going to the gym can seem intimidating to some people, especially if it's something that they haven't done before, and it shouldn't be like that. So hopefully for those who asked questions, I hope that answered your questions. And if you didn't ask a question but watch this video, I hope you kind of see where my thought process is at, and look forward to seeing you through other videos. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Today is November 12th. It is a Thursday night, about to be Friday. It's almost midnight. So enjoy, have a good rest of your night, and I'll see you soon. Bye.